Thank you to Winfried and the two presentators. It was very informative, very interesting, a lot of legal aspects, a lot of food for thought. So today 52 countries were represented, 49 members and 3 observers. We've been listening to various presentations during the day, and there were many other meetings organized during the previous week. So what are the principal conclusions of these meetings and of today's conference? First, we had this morning, without the press, so we'd like to give them some information, the General Assembly and regulatory issues. The first point being the very important subject of the review of the governance of IFHA. IFHA must also adapt to a changing environment, and that's what I tried to cover this morning. As I presented to you, we have decided to review the governance of IFHA in order to attribute more specific missions to the chairman and the 3 vice chairmen who have been elected last March for a term starting today and finishing in 3 years in October 2015. The distribution of responsibilities will be finalized at the Executive Council tomorrow morning and implemented immediately. The 3 vice chairmen are representing Americas, Asia and Europe and Mediterranean, but they will be in charge of specific missions on a world basis. After the transformation of the Asian Racing Conference in the Asian Racing Federation in 2001 and the creation of the European and Mediterranean Horse Racing Federation in 2010, we are happy that representatives of North and South America have decided to hold a meeting tomorrow afternoon to discuss the formation of a future Pan-American conference. OSAF is a well-established organization created in 1958 and which has recently reviewed its structure. I am absolutely convinced that there are many issues justifying a global Pan-American conference like medication, simulcasting, studbook matters, international ratings, interference rules, or others. When it will have been accomplished, we will have with IFHA a global organization supported by 3 very strong regional organizations or structures. I want to thank very warmly my 3 vice chairmen who are working very hard on these issues. I'm also delighted that we will now have a cross-representation between the Executive Council of IFHA and the ISBC, International Studbook Committee. I'm finally totally satisfied by the success of our new fee structure, who has made it possible to reconstitute our reserves while reducing by half the charge for the countries facing a difficult financial situation. The review of the Executive Office of IFHA is part of this new structure. The departure of Akitani after the Executive Council of March 31st, 2013 is a big challenge for us. The progressive stepping down of Roland de Vos during the next 3 years is another one. So I'm very grateful to the ARF, the US Jockey Club, OSAF, IMHF, Weatherby's and France Gallo for giving us on a part-time basis the support of such excellent persons as Andrew Harding from Asia, Matthew Iliano and Andrew Sesser from USA, Dr. Ignacio Pavlovsky from OSAF, Dr. Paul Kahn from Weatherby's and IMHF, and Dominique de Venden from France Gallo. They will all take a concrete part in our new decentralized organization, and Dominique de Venden and Andrew Harding will coordinate their work. Thank you to all for your great support, and thank you in advance for helping us to achieve our goal. We had reports from various committees of IFHA. Paul Greaves, the new vice chairman of ISBC, told us that there is now 69 approved studbooks, with the Oman studbooks having been approved, and there should be very soon 70, as the Ukrainian studbook approval process is in the very final stage. A new internet site and system to provide the best possible facilities for ISBC members and to manage the task of informing and educating emerging studbooks was presented and approved. It will undertake the parentage verification, recording and issue of identification documents for every thoroughbred. The subject of genetic manipulations and the new version of Article 6 were discussed, and it was also agreed to add a suitable wording to Article 12, prohibiting the manipulation of the heritable genome. Carl Hamilton gave us a report of IRPAC meeting. The main subject was the integration of South American ratings with World Thoroughbred rankings, which will be achieved for the first time at the end of the year and will be used for the quality control of their graded races. OSAF will now implement additional ground rules for awarding group status in South America. New ground rules have been established by the Asian Patent Committee concerning rating standards and changes for group races. The Istanbul Trophy in Turkey was upgraded to Part 1 with Group 3 status. 6 racers from Spain were promoted to Part 2, subject to review of their 2012 ratings. And the top 50 racers in the world, ranked by race ratings, will be published on the IFHA website early next year. Andrew Harding and Henri Pourret co-chaired TAC meeting, who reviewed many technical issues. Articles within the international agreement have been grouped under subject headings breeding, racing, and wagering for ease of reference. 6 proposed amendments to the international agreement will be presented to the EXCO tomorrow. A proposed definition and set of criteria for recognized racing authorities was approved for recommendation to EXCO. Rob Decock, for the Committee of Harmonization of Race Day Rules, reported that the GRA, after a very long consultation within the racing industry in Japan, has decided to change its interference rule to the Category 1 with effect from 1st January 2013. It will put them in line with other ARF countries. And I said this morning, it will also put them closer to the French rule, as the winner of the 2010 Japan Cup would never have been losing the race in France. However, there is still a need to progress harmonization within Europe and with the American continent. It should be one of our priorities, and as simulcasting and commingling of pools are growing around the world. In other areas, harmonization has been achieved for position of number 1 stall, non-runner rule, headgear, and tongue ties. Other issues are progressing. Denis Egan chaired the International Conference for Health, Safety and Welfare of Jockeys, which was organized for the first time in the USA. There were 50 participants from 11 countries, the biggest ever attendance since its creation in 2006. All countries are trying to improve their standards, but the lack of structure and the lack of finance make it very difficult for some countries to achieve the best international standards. A revised version of Article 6 on biological integrity of the horse has been presented to you, which concerns ethical consideration, prohibited substances and practices, and the risk of genetic and cellular manipulations. It will be presented to the Executive Council tomorrow morning, and we intend to implement it next year. Dr. Houghton has also been updating us on the 22 international screening limits published on IFHA website and the 18 detection times published on EHLC website. It is certainly the most significant progress ever made to allow practicing vets to apply good veterinary practice in the treatment of horses with therapeutic substances and to harmonize internationally anti-doping control. Dr. Houghton finally reported on the successful International Conference of Racing Analysts and Veterinarians held with great success at Philadelphia in September and made an announcement on the next one in Mauritius in September 2014, for which ICRAV is looking for financial partners. Then we came to the open forum with progress report about developing countries. Bjorn Eklund gave us a report on the very positive actions initiated by EMHF. Paul Kahn has been appointed as Secretary General by courtesy of Weatherbees. I have known Paul for a long time, and I'm sure he is the best possible choice and will be a great help for both EMHF and IFHA. In April, a 2-day training seminar for racecourse officials hosted by the BHA was carried out in Newmarket, and new seminars are planned for the coming years. Several questionnaires have been done about racing rules. A website is going to be set up, and you saw the first demonstration of it. EMHF has established links with the European Association of Racing Schools. Mr. Philippe Cazier, the president of the Belgian Jockey Club, will be in charge of issues concerning relations with the European Commission and organize a subcommittee within EMHF to deal with these matters. So my warmest congratulations to Brian and Bjorn for these very concrete results, and good luck to Paul Kahn. Yu Pengfei has been appointed by ARF as the new chairman of the special body for developing racing jurisdictions. ARF has created a new membership category for developing countries which can become affiliated member. ARF has retained Karen Kennelly to help prepare emerging countries and their major races for potential promotion to the Blue Book, like Qatar in 2011. Oman has developed its first stud book. Mongolia has been granted associate membership. Future developments will include monitoring, technical support programs, and staff development scholarship. Then we had an update on medication matters in USA. The title of Jim Gagliano's excellent presentation was speaking by itself, On the Road to Medication Reform. Jim firstly told us that their fund development programs, which he presented last year, are giving very encouraging results, but he very wisely added that all marketing initiatives can be destroyed if you cannot guarantee a clean game and a level playing field. He then explained to us all the work involved in the establishment of reform racing medication rule and the difficulty to apply them. He commented on the proposed changes to make the penalty structures for drug violations much harder. And I was jealous when I saw the figure quoted. We could have used them last Sunday for our jockeys. We are welcoming the great news that the Breeders' Cup next month, furosemide, will be prohibited for all 2-year-old racers, and that 70 members of TOBA have pledged to run their 2-year-olds in 2012 without Lasix. That's a very important first step. The Jockey Club core believe that horses should compete only when they are free from the influence of medication sounds like very nice music to my ears. Jim, I am sure that everybody in that room today is wishing you good luck to win this strategic battle. We saw a very nice video on racing in the Czech Republic, which showed the result of the struggle in last decades to restore it to the level where it was in the past. After difficult times with communist rulers, but we don't make politics, horse racing became one of the country life activities, helping to keep young people in agriculture. Then between 1989 and 1992, the Jockey Club of Czechoslovakia was restored, and we saw in the video how successfully it was done with some very famous races like the Grand Steeplechase of Pardubice. Mr. Luca and Mr. Visenik, we wish you good luck for the future. Then we had a presentation on South America. South America is a marvelous racing and breeding continent with top-class racecourses and excellent breeding farms. As Ignacio Pavlovsky showed us, the South countries represent 14.25% of the races run around the world, 12.52 of the runners, 4.74 of the prize money with low cost for training and breeding expenses, and 16.33 of the foals. Unfortunately, it represents less than 1% of the total betting in the world, which means that there is potential for growth, but that the task will not be easy. As you could see, OSAF is a very well-organized institution and has recently put in place a new structure under the chairmanship of Marcel Zarou. OSAF has done a considerable work to integrate the world rankings and must now implement quality control in all group races in South America. It is not politically easy, but it is an absolute priority for all Part 1 countries around the world, including Asia. I had personally the chance to make trips to Argentina, Brazil, Chile, and Uruguay, and I can tell you that you will meet very nice people with a great passion for racing and breeding, and I strongly recommend you to visit them. The Racing and Betting Forum, organized on Friday in partnership between EPMA, IFHA, and PMU, was a great success, as Aki told you. It was a full-day event with 150 participants from 26 countries. And next year, we'll try to arrange the date in order that the TAC member can attend it by having the TAC a day earlier. It covered innovation of the racing product to fit market expectations, emerging markets and new partners, the importance of branding in sport and entertainment, a thought panel on innovations in IT, international technologies, commingling of pools. In this conclusion, Philippe Germont warned us that we need to utilize innovative IT technologies to reach a younger audience. Otherwise, our betting turnover would decrease every year and create a vicious circle. Next year, Jim Gagliano will take over the responsibility of organizing this forum with the PMA and the PMU. Good luck, Jim. Review of the current economic trends in betting and racing was presented by Aki with his usual annual statistical survey, followed by his economical, philosophical, and prospective approach. He clearly showed us the worldwide decline of the number of falls for the third year in a row and the consequences of the euro crisis. Generally speaking, Asian countries have been increasing their shares in all racing sectors. Then Aki talked about a new world post-market capitalism and showed us a couple of ways of how we could adapt ourselves to this changing environment. The first, quality versus quantity. It is certainly a major issue as it concerns quality control of racing, a no-medication world, a review of the number and quality of racers, revenue based on net income of betting instead of global turnover, and a policy of not expecting too much and maintaining your territory. Do the right thing. Aki gave concrete example of the Thoroughbred Care Alliance for retired horses in USA, the charities and community of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, and the importance of the surrounding natural environments for the new grandstand at Longchamp Racecourse, which we hope to present you at the conference next year. The final message of Aki was that we are like goalkeepers, as our mission is to safeguard the industry at all costs on the last line. Thank you, Aki, for this very innovative presentation, and good luck for the future. For the afternoon session, we've been dealing with adapting to a changing environment, starting with the current challenge and measures in the racing industry. Brian Kavanagh moderated this panel and told us how Ireland is adapting to changing environments and had a significant increase in the share of media rights, but will still pay 2 fees to IFHA in the future. Our keynote speaker, Bertrand Bélinguier, the new chairman of France Gallo, gave us a global approach. He told us that the key factor of the independence for racing is the control of betting. Relations with political authorities are an absolute priority, and we must integrate our racecourses in the life of the city. We must make racing known as much as possible in the media and make efforts to attract the younger generations and women on our racecourses, television and internet being the most important vectors. We must encourage access to share ownership in order to attract new owners as well. Bertrand Bélinguier also spoke about the importance of having a strong worldwide organization and reaffirmed the firm commitment of France Gallo to IFHA. He emphasized the force of the international agreement, the importance of the integrity and welfare of the horse, the necessity of a fair return of revenues to the industry, and the facilitation of commingling agreements. He concluded by asking racing authorities to cooperate and avoid taking single decisions on issues of common interest without a preliminary consultation in order to look for common best practice. Thank you, Bertrand, for this very interesting speech and your great support. Michael Duffy gave us an overview of the size and breadth of the Australian racing and breeding industry, which clearly showed that it is one of the largest and most successful in the world. He reminded us of the importance of the decision of the High Court of Australia, who upheld the validity of Racing New South Wales legislation based on the use of thoroughbred race fields with the approval of the relevant controlling body and the payment of an appropriate product fee. Michael detailed also the success of their strategy of internationalization led by the Victoria Racing Club. The race that stopped the nation, the Melbourne Cup, is now totally international, and you have certainly noticed that for the result of the Melbourne Cup, it's the last 2 winners, not only the winner of last year, that were trained in France, if I can correct you. But this international policy has not been a one-way traffic with the victories of Black Caviar and So You Think in Europe. As Michael said, the internationalization of racing has brought many benefits to Australian racing and breeding, including raising our profile on the world stage and, importantly, building productive relationships with racing authorities and participants across the globe. Then we moved to Italy. When I started working at the Société d'Encouragement in 1968, Italy had a very wealthy racing and breeding industry. It was having the best average prize money in Europe and had produced horses like Ribot and Molvedo. Unfortunately, Italy has become the historical example and a case study of how governments can destroy, step by step, a successful betting and racing organization. Francesco Rufo Scaletta explained us how it happened and what he is expecting to improve the situation and to reposition horse racing in the new gambling and betting market. As Francesco very wisely said, any gaming product depends on striking a balance between customer satisfaction and the economic interest of the seller. We then moved to Winfried's session, current challenges and measures in the other industries. Winfried moderated this panel. He insisted on the new, very competitive digital world with well-equipped customers who select and subscribe only to offerings that best meet their needs, and told us that the market share of racing in the global gambling market is only 20%. Chris Bell presented us his vision of how embracing change to grow. He explained to us how the UK betting industry became 10 times more profitable within a decade. At the same time, the consumer base has been reinvigorated by the development of the sports betting market with younger and more affluent customers. Technology has been very clearly assisting the growth of the sports betting market, easy access and frequency being important factors of development. Chris also told us that regulation and legislation play a vital part in maintaining a crucial balance as a free-for-all unfair taxations, levies, and criminality could spell an ultimate disaster. Then Andrew Harding presented us a very detailed analysis of the challenges we are facing in courts to protect intellectual property rights. He gave us example of court decision in England, at the European Court of Justice, or in Australia. He developed the possibility of using race field legislation as an alternative to copyright or sui generis database right. Andrew concluded by suggesting to follow 4 steps: to identify interested IFHA members, to scope the issues in each country, to develop one or more model rules, to use IFHA to advocate the adoption of these models by respective governments. It is very ambitious, but it is a vital issue for our future, and it will be a big challenge for our vice chairman in charge of this mission. Good luck, Winfried. So here are my principal conclusions, and I would like now to thank especially France Gallo for its marvelous hospitality at a memorable dinner at the Opéra Garnier on Saturday and at its headquarters today. All the speakers and moderators who gave us their time to prepare such interesting presentation, which you will find in a memory stick, which will be available for each of you with a copy of the paper of my conclusion who was not ready to put it in the memory stick. This year, I'm pleased to inform you that the video of the Open Forum presentation and panels from this 46th Annual International Conference of Horse Racing Authorities will be available either tomorrow or on Wednesday. We'll inform you by mail on the IFHA website, ifhaonline.org. This will strengthen our communication to make known the goals, actions, and commitment of the International Horse Racing Federation to good regulation and best practices on international matters, and we hope to be live online next year. I would like also to thank my 3 vice chairmen and the chairman of all the committees, all EXCO members, Dominique de Venden, Aki Akitani, Andrew Chesser, and Martin Gaudron, who organized today's conference, all the technical teams of France Gallo and Saturn Production, and last but not least, all the interpreters. Thank you for your attention, and have a good trip back home.